Hello everybody, welcome back to another video lesson. This is the e-learning space for MGM Higher Secondary School Bokaro and I am Mrs. Sadaf Noori. So this is the first video for lesson number 4 from your English reader book for class 8. This lesson is titled A Hasty Judgment and this story has been picked up from Chatterbox of 1906. Let us see the story at a quick glance. The prescribed story, A Hasty Judgment, is an edited version taken from the Chatterbox 1906. The Chatterbox is a collection of various stories. In this story, A Hasty Judgment, there is a boy, his name is Jack. He learns that one must not be quick to reach conclusions. There's always more to a person than what meets the eye. Initially, he thought that his stepmother was stingy and he did not like her. Later, he learns the hard way that his stepmother was actually saving to get him a new phone. He then realizes his mistake. Let us read the story and find out how Jack realizes his mistake. Lesson 4, A Hasty Judgment. "What is the new mother like?" asked Walter Howard. He was cycling from the station with his friend, Jack Treherne, having just arrived to spend a few days of the summer holidays. So we learn there are two children. One is Walter Howard and the other is Jack Treherne. Walter was cycling along with Jack from the station and he has come to spend the summer holidays with his friend. And he is asking a question. Perhaps Jack's father has married a new woman and a stepmother has come into the life of Jack, and Walter as a friend is inquiring, does he like his new mother or not? "No good," was the short but expressive answer. What does Jack reply? That she is not good. "I remember you thought her rather a good sort before your father married her," Walter remarked. So Walter tries to remark and says that, "But I remember when your father did not marry her, when she was still a friend to your father, you said she is a good person." Then Jack gloomily says, gloomily means in a sad manner, says, "You never know what people are really like until you live in the same house with them." So Jack says, as if he is giving some wisdom to Walter, that once you start living with people, then you realize that how they truly are, what is the true nature of those people. Hard lines. When you had such decent holidays with your father alone, how is it she is not nice to you now, when she used to be so jolly? So Walter is still surprised. He thinks that, yeah, these are very tough lines that you're saying. These are difficult realizations. And remember, when your mother was not there and your father was alone and you enjoyed holidays with him alone, I am not sure how a jolly person that your stepmother used to be has now become a not so good person. So Jack explains, "Oh, she isn't exactly nasty." Means he's trying to say she's not very bad, only I do so hate her mean little saving ways. He says that he doesn't like that his stepmother keeps saving money in some way or the other. He doesn't like this behavior of being frugal. Frugal means a person who tries to save money by cutting down on the extra costs. Walter's face fell. Now Walter, who has come to spend the summer holidays with his friend, actually his face became sad. So he thought that it would be a nuisance if he had to waste some of his precious holidays in a place where there was not even enough grub. So Walter, after listening to this from his friend that his new mother is actually a mean person who does not spend much, becomes sad. He thinks that he has come to spend summer holidays and if there is not enough grub means food to eat, it would be such a boring holiday. How would he enjoy without eating nicely? Walter was welcomed warmly by Jack's parents. However, contrary to his belief, he was welcomed warmly, nicely by Jack's new parents, new mother and his father. It was soon lunchtime. The family and guests sat down to a hearty meal. Hearty meals means a good meal. Variety of foods were there on the table. The lunchtime was a happy one. Walter enjoyed the food. The food proved to be excellent and the food was really good. So Walter felt that it must be in some other way that the stinginess would be evident. So Walter, the friend of Jack, who has already got some comments about the new mother of Jack, is thinking that maybe the family is trying to be stingy in some other ways. Maybe they're doing cost cutting not in food, because the food was really good and there was a lot of variety on the table. The next morning at breakfast, Mrs. Treherne said, "It is such a lovely day and I'm sure Walter would love to go down to the cove. What do you say to an expedition to Castle Cove?" So over here, the stepmother suggests that since Walter has come to spend the holidays with Jack, they all should go to a little expedition. Expedition is like a picnic, an excursion. So she suggests that there is a place called the Castle Cove, which is actually a rock near the sea. Okay. So she says, "Shall we go there?" And everybody becomes excited. "Wonderful idea," said Jack's father. "I'll get the beach umbrella ready." They're getting ready to go to the beach. Generally, when you go to the beach, you wear your summer clothes, you have a basket of food, a picnic basket, you carry a shovel to make sand castles, and buckets and umbrellas to save yourself from the sun. So they're getting ready for a day at the beach. The boys too were delighted with the idea and ran off to get ready, while Mrs. Treherne set to work busily packing the picnic basket. While the children were getting ready and the father was getting the stuff ready, Mrs. Treherne, the stepmother of Jack, was actually packing a picnic basket of food and variety of other things for the children. "What is in that picnic basket you are carrying?" Jack asked his father as they were leaving. So when they were leaving and he saw that his father is carrying a picnic basket, he inquired that are they carrying in that basket? "Our lunch, Jack, and knowing who packed it, I can promise we shall not do badly." So the father replies that this is our lunch, and because your stepmother has packed it, I am sure we are not going to do badly, means we are not going to be hungry because plenty of stuff is here. It's heavy. "But you always used to give us lunch at the hotel, father," Jack said. So here is a tone of protest. Jack actually wants to eat at the hotel. So he says that every time we used to go to the hotel for lunch, why now carry a picnic basket? "Ah, but we have learnt a trick worth two of that, have we not, my dear?" And Mr. Treherne smiled at his wife. So he tries to tell his son that by not going to the lunch, he has learnt a few lessons. There are certain tricks involved there. Why he is not going to the hotel for lunch is a secret, or a reason is there. "It is so much more fun to have our lunch close to the sea," she said, "rather than in a stuffy restaurant." So the stepmother of Jack, says that it is actually nice to sit in an open area near the sea and enjoy from your own picnic basket. And the restaurants are stuffy. Stuffy means crowded. So many tourists are there and the food is not hygienic maybe, and people are breathing down your neck. It's crowded. It's not very hygienic. So that is one of the saving ways I told you about. So this is whose statement? Jack's statement, and he is with his friend. Confiding to his friend Walter, he's saying, "See, this is how she's always saving. We always used to go to the hotel for lunch and now she's carrying a basket. I don't like it. She thinks it will save the expense of a lunch at the hotel." Now he's very angry. He says that once in a while if we go out and eat, how much is she going to save in that? Muttered Jack. Muttered means slowly talking in an angered way as he got into the back seat with Walter. So obviously we can imagine the front seat is occupied by the mother and the father, and both the kids are sitting at the back. And who is going to carry that horrid great basket? I should like to know. Not me for sure. Now Jack adds, because he is angry that they will not be eating lunch at a hotel. He is angry with the picnic basket. He is angry with the stepmother, and he says that look at the size of the basket. And look at the ugly looking basket. He is angry. Horrid means ugly looking basket. Who is going to carry it? We are going to enjoy a day at the beach, and who is going to carry it? I am not going to carry it for sure. he says. Now they're going to reach the sea beach. The white crested waves were rolling on over the blue bay as the Trehanes and Walter got out of the car to follow the narrow cliff path towards the cove where they would enjoy their picnic. So they're selecting a spot and the scene is a beautiful one. The blue waves are there. White crested waves means when the waves run towards the shore, you would see a lot of foam is there. Because of the saltiness of the water, the lot of foam is there, and that is why it is looking like it is white and crested, as if it is wearing some kind of jewels. And they follow a small path, narrow cliff. Narrow means very so wide, and cliff means a small rocky area. So they followed a path and they're looking for a place to set their picnic. Halfway to the spot, Jack offered to carry the basket the rest of the way. So here Jack, who was actually angry at the basket and said he will never carry it, now asked to carry it. He wants to be helpful. Or is it there some another kind of plan that he has in mind? It's quite heavy, Jack, filled as it is with goodies you boys will love. Are you sure you want to carry? His father asked. His father was already carrying the basket. It was quite heavy, so he makes sure Jack really wants to carry it because it is going to be heavy. Let us see what happens. Yes, of course, I am not a weakling, Jack said, taking the basket from his father. Weakling means somebody who is not strong enough. Here is a little picture of the entire family along with Walter walking down the cliff, and he is insisting in carrying the basket. So he takes the basket from his father and tries to show that he is a strong person and does not need assistance. A few meters up the path, Jack loitered behind the others. Suddenly, a cry from him made them look round. Jack had tripped over a stone, sending the picnic basket hurtling down the cliff, bursting the bottles and dashing the contents of the basket into fragments on the rocks below. So what has happened? Halfway, they have not even reached the sea bay, and Jack had tripped over a stone. The basket of the food that he was carrying hurtled, means fell down from his hand, and all the bottles and the goodies that were packed in the picnic basket fell down and crashed on the rocks below. How could you be so careless, Jack? His father said, quite upset at the accident. Now, of course, the father was upset because he knew the basket was heavy and he knew it was full of good food, and he also knew that they were going to save some money by not going to the hotel. But as he never dreamed it was anything but an accident. But he also thought that maybe this was actually an accident, so why be angry with the child? He did not say much. He did not scold the child because he thought he has just met an accident. He never thought it could have been by purpose. They were obliged to return to the hotel for a meal, and Walter shrewdly suspected this was the result Jack had worked for. Because his friend Walter already knew that he did not like the picnic basket, and now they have come to the restaurant to eat, he was sure that Jack had planned all this. He had carried the basket on purpose, he had tripped on the rock on purpose, and he made sure that the contents of the basket fell so that they could have a nice meal at the hotel he always wanted to. This only Walter suspected. His parents were oblivious, means they did not know he has done it on purpose. However, the lunch was a huge disappointment. The lunch that they went for in the hotel was a disappointment. It was not good. What was the reason? A crowd of tourists had consumed everything in the shape of food, leaving very little for anyone who came after. Means in the restaurant, a group of people who had come to tour the area have eaten or finished all the food that was there in the restaurant, and whoever came after those pack of tourists had nothing left to eat. The picnickers had to make do with cucumber sandwiches, chips, and cold drinks. Who are the picnickers? The Trehanes and Walter. What did they have to eat? Only cucumber sandwiches, some chips, and some cold drinks. Oh dear, sighed Mrs. Trehane, to think that the nice cheese sandwiches and hard-boiled eggs, the lovely chicken patties and strawberry puffs are now floating away to sea. Oh, how terrible. So, such lovely food she had packed for the children and the family in the picnic basket. What all were they? Cheese sandwiches, chicken patties, hard boiled eggs, strawberry puffs, and where were all these things? Floating in the sea because the basket had been hurtled down the rock. What an idiot you have been, whispered Walter to Jack. The friend knew about Jack's plan, so he told that you have been an idiot. Walter's tone of voice left Jack in no doubt that his friend meant what he said. So Jack understood that Walter suspected his plan and knew that he had done this on purpose. When Mr. Treherne pulled out some money in order to pay the bill, his wife gave another sigh. So, of course, because they're eating in a big hotel, even though the lunch is very, very small, simple sandwiches, some chips, of course, the bill would be high. And when he was paying the bill, the mother felt really sad. "This is worse than the cold soup, is it not?" he asked, laughing. "The savings from 4 such lunches got Jack his—" He was about to say something. He was going to say something. He says that this lunch that we are having is worse than cold soup. Even cold soup is better than this kind of lunch. But he said, laughing, that from the past 4 lunches we have saved money and we were going to get something to Jack. He was going to get something. Then he laughed too and held up a warning finger. The mother laughed and she warned the father not to disclose the secret, why they were saving all the money from the lunches. What were they doing with the money? "Hush," she whispered. "You must not let out my secret." The mother said, "No, no, do not tell the secret." But the father said, "I think we must share it with Jack," said Mr. Treherne. "It will make him more careful in future when we trust him with our lunch basket." But the father says that it is necessary to share the secret with the boy, because if he learns the secret, maybe in the future he is going to be more careful. He had noticed his son's scornful look when the settlement of the bill was mentioned and had partly guessed what was in his mind. Why the father wanted to share the secret? Because he saw that his son Jack was not particularly looking happy. He had a very hateful look on his face, and he had kind of guessed what is going on in his mind, and that is why he wanted to make sure he knew why they were saving. So Mrs. Treherne said, "I wanted it to be a surprise, but since you have let the cat half out of the bag, you might as well let it out fully." She said that I wanted this to be a surprise. I was planning a surprise. That is why I was saving all the money. But because you have told half the secret, means the cat half out of the bag means incomplete secret. It is better you tell the whole thing. So the father says, "Well, Jack, you know you have been bothering me for a new phone, but I told you I could not manage such a piece of extravagance now, and you would have to wait another year." So the father said that, "Remember, boy, Jack, you always wanted a new phone, but I told you that it is an extravagant affair, means it would be unnecessary expensive spending, and I do not have enough money to get you a new phone, and I told you to wait for 1 year. So Jack quickly says, "My old one is of no more use than a turnip." Turnip is a vegetable, so he's trying to say that my phone is now in a very bad shape. I really do need a new phone. It's almost like a vegetable now. "All the more pity that the new one went over the cliff with the lunch," remarked his father. So the father said that, "Yeah, but you should be sad that now your new phone fell down into the sea along with the lunch." "What do you mean?" asked Jack in bewilderment. Bewilderment means surprise. He was surprised that was there a phone in the basket? But he was sure there was no phone. Why is his father talking like this? There was only food in the basket. Mr. Treherne looked at his wife, so they both exchanged a look, and it was better to explain it. "It was your plan. You would better explain it," he said. So Mr. Treherne, the father of Jack, tells his wife, Mrs. Treherne, to explain the whole thing, why they were always saving money. "You see, Jack," she began, "it seemed rather hard you should not have a new phone when you wanted one so badly. So I told your father I was quite sure I could save money in many little ways without denying us of any real comforts. So I thought we could have the best picnic meals of delicious homemade goodies instead of expensive junk food at fancy places. Now, Jack, do you approve of my little scheme?" So they still don't know that Jack has done this on purpose. They are sharing their little secret, what Mrs. Trehane had planned, that if we save money by not eating outside, we can have a good meal at home itself, delicious homemade goodies, and we can save some money, and whatever money we will save, we will put it together and buy a new phone for the little Jack. And she is very happy of her plan and says that, do you approve of this plan? Are you happy with this plan? Jack was almost speechless with shame and confusion, and the twinkle in Walter's eye made him even more regretful. So Walter's eye twinkled means because he knew the secret Jack was hiding, and when this secret was out, he saw that Jack was actually speechless. He was feeling ashamed of his activities, that he had been hating on his mother. He had been thinking that her stinginess is unnecessary. He became very much regretful. I think you're awfully good, he stammered. Stammered means when you're not able to speak properly. He is so ashamed that he is saying that to his mother that you're very good. Awfully good means very good. But I don't deserve that phone and I shan't have it now. He says that I am not a good person. I do not deserve that phone and now I will not even take it even if you give me. I was such a silly donkey to throw the basket over the cliff. He calls himself a foolish animal. He says that I was the one who threw the basket over the cliff. I did not trip. It did not fell by accident. Jack's father looked shocked at this confession and was about to scold him when his mother tactfully said. Now, of course, Jack's father was very angry. He did not ever thought that his son would do something like this, but he was about to scold him when the new mother tactfully said means she intervened and tried to save the situation. Oh yes, you will, Jack. Though she did look a little astonished at the confession that it was a deliberate act instead of an accident. She was also very much surprised that he had deliberately means on purpose, thrown the entire basket of good food into the sea just because he wanted to have some junk food in the hotel and have his way. But she did not scold him and in fact stopped the father from scolding him and said, no, we are going to give you a new phone. There will be plenty of money saved by the end of the holidays if you will be careful not to lose any more baskets. So she says that if you are more careful now on and if you do not throw the baskets from now on, if you're more careful and as a mature boy, then we are surely going to save some more money by the end of the summer holidays and we are going to get you a new phone. Jack never forgot that experience. He was never ever less careful about any chore he was assigned, and the smart new phone he carried was a constant reminder that hasty judgments too often prove unjust. So now Jack had learnt his lesson, never to judge a person quickly. He had thought his new stepmother was actually stingy and saving money unnecessarily, but the hard way, through his own personal experience, he learnt that she was actually trying to save for a new phone for himself. So when he learned his lesson, now he was never less careful. He was always careful, and whatever work was given to him, he would always do it dedicatedly. And the phone that he had got means now he had received a phone would always remind him that never to be hasty in judgment. Hasty means quick and judgment means deciding. Never be quick enough to take a decision because sometimes it is unjust. Unjust means not correct. So always weigh the matter carefully. This is the story and this is the explanation. It is an edited version as I said in the beginning and it has been taken from a collection of stories titled Chatterbox. Please go through the glossary, learn the word meanings. If you have any confusion in any of the sentences, words or phrases, we are going to discuss it in the online classes. Till then children, take care and thank you.